in the frozen heart of Russia, in the winter of 1916. A man once whispered to be unkillable, sat in the candlelight of a palace cellar. His name was Grigory Rasputin, the mad monk, the mystic, the healer of the Tsar's dying son. To the Romanovs, he was a miracle. To everyone else, he was a curse. How did a peasant from Siberia, barefoot and filthy, climb his way into the glittering court of the Russian Empire? Rasputin's rise to power was like nothing history had ever seen. Nobles loathed him, priests feared him, and yet the Tsarina Alexandra believed him to be chosen by God himself. They said his eyes could pierce a soul. They said he could heal with a single touch. And in a world trembling on the brink of war, people were desperate to believe in miracles. The most important believer was the Empress herself. Her son, Alexei, the heir to the throne, suffered from hemophilia. A small cut could be a death sentence. Doctors were helpless. But when Rasputin arrived, he would pray, speak in soothing tones, and miraculously, the boy's bleeding would stop. Was it hypnotism, a folk remedy, or was it truly divine intervention? Whatever the reason, the Tsarina was convinced Rasputin was her son's only hope, and she would protect him at all costs. This gave the Siberian peasant unprecedented access and influence over the royal family. The Tsar, Nicholas II, a gentle but indecisive ruler, was often swayed by his wife's unshakable faith in Rasputin. Soon, the monk's whispers began to shape policy. Ministers were appointed and dismissed on his recommendation. Military strategies were discussed in his presence. To the Russian aristocracy, this was an outrage. They saw Rasputin as a disease, rotting the empire from within. Rumors spread like wildfire. They whispered that he seduced the Tsarina, that he held drunken orgies in the palace, that he manipulated the Tsar like a puppet, and poisoned the government with his corrupt cronies. Whether any of it was true didn't matter. The hatred was real, and it was growing more dangerous every day. As Russia stumbled through World War I, with millions dying on the front lines, the blame fell squarely on the dark force behind the throne. So, one cold December night, a group of powerful nobles decided to do what bullets, rumors, and revolutions had so far failed to do. They would kill the leader of the plot was Prince Felix Yusupov, a wealthy aristocrat married to the Tsar's own niece. He invited Rasputin to his magnificent Moika palace under the pretense of meeting his beautiful wife. Irina Rasputin, always one for a bit of flattery and a pretty face, accepted. He was led down to a cozy, soundproofed cellar. The table was set with fine china, the wine was sweet, and the cakes were laced with a deadly secret. They contained enough cyanide to kill 10 men. Yusupov nervously watched as Rasputin laughed, drank the poisoned Madeira wine, and devoured the petits fours, one after another. Then he waited and waited, but nothing happened. Rasputin just complained that the wine made his throat burn a little. Hours passed. The conspirators, hidden upstairs, grew pale with fear. Was this man truly protected by some dark power? Panic setting in, Yusupov excused himself, went upstairs, and grabbed a pistol. He returned to the cellar, his hand trembling. He asked Rasputin to look at a crucifix and pray. As the monk turned, Yusupov fired, shooting him directly in the chest. Rasputin collapsed with a roar. The room went silent. The conspirators rushed down, convinced their ordeal was over. Yusupov, feeling a strange mix of triumph and unease, leaned over the body to check for a pulse. And then, the monk's eyes snapped open. Green and furious, they stared right into the prince's soul. With a guttural scream, Rasputin scrambled to his feet, blood seeping from his coat, and lunged for Yusupov, tearing one of his epaulets from his shoulder. The The men screamed in terror, scrambling out of his way as Rasputin, the man who should be dead, stumbled up the stairs and burst into the snowy courtyard. He was trying to escape. The plotters, now in a full-blown panic, chased after him. One of them, Vladimir Prishkovich, fired his pistol into the night, once, twice. The third shot hit Rasputin in the back, and the fourth struck him in the head. The mad monk finally fell into the snow, but even then, his body twitched, refusing to die. They weren't taking any more chances. They savagely beat the body with a club, then bound his hands and feet, wrapped him in a heavy curtain, and drove to the Neva River. They found a hole in the ice and shoved the body into the freezing black water below. When Rasputin's corpse was finally found, a few days later, the autopsy revealed something truly chilling. His lungs were filled with water. This proved he had still been alive, still breathing, when he sank beneath the ice. Even after being poisoned, shot multiple times, and beaten, he had fought for his life until the very last second. That night, the conspirators believed they had saved Russia, ridding it of its greatest curse. But what came after was far, far worse. Rasputin had once made a chilling prophecy. He wrote to the Tsar, "If I am killed by common assassins, then you, Tsar of Russia, will have nothing to fear for your children. But if I am murdered by Bojar's nobles, their hands will remain soiled with my blood, and none of your children will remain alive for more than 2 years." Within months, the prophecy began to unfold. The Russian Revolution exploded. The Tsar was forced to abdicate. The royal family was placed under house arrest, and in July 1918, less than 2 years after Rasputin's death, the entire Romanov family, Nicholas, Alexandra, and their 5 children, were executed in a cellar, their lives ending in a hail of gunfire. The empire Rasputin once ruled through whispers crumbled into blood and snow. Some say Rasputin's death was the final crack in a foundation that was already doomed to fall. Others believe his spirit cast one last, long shadow over the dynasty he had sworn to protect. A century later, his story lingers part man, part myth, and part a haunting warning. They tried to kill him with poison. They tried to kill him with bullets. They drowned him in an icy river. But, in the end, it was history itself that buried him, along with the entire world he once held in his grasp. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history's most mysterious figures. See you next time.